Welcome to today's edition of Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. Nigeria is a middle-income mixed economy and an emerging market with expanding financial service, communication technology, and entertainment sectors. It is ranked 26th in the world in terms of GDP and is the largest economy in Africa based on rebased figures announced in April 2014. Although much has been made of its status as a major exporter of oil, Nigeria produces about 2.7% of the world's supply. National budgets are prepared having oil bench price as the principal budget limiting factor. Revenues accruable to states are mainly from the federation account, and little efforts are made by many of these federating states to garner their own internally generated revenues, leading to the neglect of growing the state's economic base. Oil prices fell sharply in the second half of 2014, bringing to an end a four-year period of stability. It is expected that oil prices will remain low in 2015 and rise only marginally in 2016. What is the implication of the oil drop to the Nigerian economy? Experts say that the Nigerian economy must be diversified from single oil revenue sustaining economy to a multiple revenue economy. Weekend File tonight examines the diversification of Nigeria's economy as panacea to falling oil prices. My name is Kirian Umayo, and thanks for choosing to stay with us tonight. We now bring you the news segment. The people of Kaduna State were in jubilant mood earlier today as they welcomed President Goodluck Jonathan and former governor of the state, Vice President Mohammed Namadi Sambo, for the PDP presidential rally in the state. Dennis Adegunloye reports that the party's stalwarts left the people in no doubt about who to vote for February 14th.
President Goodluck Jonathan, humbled by the rapturous welcome he received from the people of Kaduna State, noted his vision of the future of Nigeria, where education and the youth take their pride of place.
Kaduna State is described as the center of learning because we have a little about a dozen tertiary institutions, post-secondary institutions, owned by the federal government, various parastatals, and of course the state government. So this is a place where a lot of things are happening. And that is why the campaign here is relevant, because this year we are focusing on youth development, because the key is about transforming the young people so that Nigeria will be a greater country for all of us, a better place for all of us, a place that we'll all be happy with.
He also noted Kaduna State's potential in the textile industry. PDP National Chairman Adamu Muazu in Hausa appreciated the huge welcome given by the Kaduna people to the president and the PDP contingent and urged them to back it up with their votes. DG PDP presidential campaign Amadou Ali, Senate President David Mark, Kaduna State Governor Mukhtar Ramalanyero, and First Lady Dame Patience Jonathan all lauded the achievements of President Goodluck Jonathan.
The health care bill has just been passed, which guarantees free primary health to every Nigerian. Major surgical cases will only be dealt with by the National Health Insurance Scheme. Please clap for President Jonathan. Make a yell now.
President Goodluck Jonathan loves Nigeria.
PDP since 1999 to date has done a lot for Nigeria as well as for Kaduna State.
I just want to tell the Nigerian women, especially Kaduna women, PDP has a lot for you. It's PDP that will give you 35%. And if you vote PDP, be sure that all the women problem in Kaduna State is solved.
Wife of the Vice President, Amina Namadi Sambo in Hausa and Arabic, who was also grateful to the people, said it was a testimony that they are with the president and urged the women to play their fullest role come election time. Other speakers included Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido, who noted that since the colonial period in Nigeria to date, religion has not been the index of rulership and as such called on the youths not to allow religious sentiment to determine their choice of president, but rather their good conscience. Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
The Emir of Zazzau, Alhaji Shehu Idris, has appealed to politicians not to see the general elections as a do-or-die affair, nor canvass votes along ethnic or religious lines. The Emir made the appeal when he received President Jonathan and the PDP Presidential Campaign Organization, who came for royal blessings. State House correspondent Shegulaule reports.
The Kaduna State Council of Chiefs, led by the Emir of Zazzau, Alhaji Shehu Idris, gathered at the Hassan Husman Katsina House to receive President Jonathan and his running mate Namadi Sambu, as well as members of the campaign organization. The Emir of Zazzau, balked by the overheating of the political landscape ahead of the election resulting from the electionary campaigns, appealed to political party players to observe the rules of engagement as entrenched in the electoral guidelines, urging all government agencies also involved in the election process to be above board.
We really call on the politicians not to take in politics along religious or ethnicities. At this juncture, Your Excellency, I would like to INEC to make sure that logistic adequacies are put in place in good time to do away with unnecessary waste of time in moving material for the election to the polling centers. In addition to this, may I call on INEC to make sure that no eligible voters are being penalized.
President Jonathan described Kaduna as the center of politics in the north, which has benefited immensely from the federal government projects. He explained that development of a nation is not achieved overnight, but with painstaking efforts and commitment, his administration will move Nigeria to greater heights if given another opportunity to complete ongoing national transformation.
And that is why we have also concentrated a reasonable number of projects in Kaduna State. We believe people from Kaduna are the first set of people that will drive on the modern rail line from Kaduna to Abuja. Because that is the first we are going to complete. So Kaduna is key. And we are here in Kaduna to inform the people of Kaduna State that they should give us a second mandate of 4 years, and so that we'll be able to carry our transformation programs to a reasonable level. You cannot complete developing a nation even for 100 years, but we believe that if we are given another 4 years, most of our projects will get to a level where it will not go backward again. We'll be able to complete them for Nigerians to benefit.
In Kaduna, Shegun Lawale, NTA News.
Akwa Ibom State Council of Chiefs has thrown its weight behind the re-election of President Goodluck Jonathan for the second time in office. The traditional rulers, mainly First Class Chief, led by the chairman, His Royal Highness Edem Salas Aban, told President Jonathan not to be deterred by the challenges facing the country nor obstacles in his way as they attested to the transformation taking place across the country.
Nigeria has been waiting for. A man on the bright side of life.
President Jonathan promised to continue to do his best to develop the country, saying his administration in the next dispensation will work with the state to provide social infrastructure, including the takeoff of the Maritime Academy in Oron. President Jonathan was later given a traditional title of Ibere Akwa Ibom in appreciation of his contributions and support for the state, as he was decorated and presented the Sword of Honor. Correspondent Shegula reports that the royal fathers also prayed for President Jonathan for success. The national chairman of the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan Good Governance Group, Femi Ajayi, has advised Nigerians to vote en masse during the forthcoming presidential election to re-elect President Jonathan. He gave the advice during the stakeholders meeting of the group in Lagos. The report.
The national chairman of Goodluck Jonathan Good Governance Group, Femi Ajayi, said that based on the achievements and impacts made in various sectors of the Nigerian economy by the president, he deserves to be re-elected for a second term.
A president who respects human rights, who supports the operation of the Freedom of Information Bill, and who is a respecter of rule of law, definitely that president deserves to be given a second chance.
The Lagos State coordinator of the group, Razak Yusuf, enjoined members and other Nigerians to conduct themselves peacefully during the election.
We need to re-elect this present president, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. He has done well and is going to do more than what he is doing now, especially when given the conducive environment.
The meeting is to enlighten members of the group and the general public with a view to ensuring a hitch-free general election in February.
Indigenes of the southeast of the country say it is essential for the federal government to diversify the nation's economy in order to make the business environment favorable. This was their view at the unity rally put together by the Southeast South-South United Assembly in Lagos to pledge their support for President Goodluck Jonathan.
The 2015 general elections beckon, a major concern of many stakeholders is how politicians will ensure peace during the elections. Indigenes of the two regions at the Unity Rally explained that it is crucial for electors to vote wisely and refuse to be used as tools for political violence by undemocratic politicians.
The advice we have for them is let them perceive Jonathan as their own, because this is a man sent by God. Jonathan, not only is he our son, he has done well.
They should try and pick their PVC because it's very, very vital. This election is going to be very keen and it's going to depend on who has the highest number of people that have the PVC.
They also added that it is imperative for politicians to remain focused on their issues-based campaigns and desist from heating up the polity. Indigenes from the southeast and south-south regions who reside in Lagos came out en masse to pledge their support for President Goodluck Jonathan.
He is a president that has set back the tone for the economy of the country to begin to rise again.
Jonathan has performed beautifully than most of these past administrations.
The Unity Rally attracted royal fathers, captains of industry, market women, and youths.
And I will take you back to the story of in Akwa Ibom State, where Jonathan interacted with the monarchs. Akwa Ibom State Council of Chiefs has thrown its weight behind the re-election of President Jonathan for the second time in office. The traditional rulers, mainly first-class chiefs, led by the chairman, His Royal Highness Edem Salas Aban, told President Jonathan not to be deterred by the challenges facing the country, nor obstacles in his way as they are tested to the transformation taking place across the country.
My President, you are, by the grace of God, a man of great destiny, but a man Nigeria has been waiting for. A man on the bright side of life.
President Jonathan promised to continue to do his best to develop the country, saying his administration in the next dispensation will work with the state to provide social infrastructure, including the takeoff of the Maritime Academy in Oron.
We have done few things
we want to do more. Because we discussed the issue of the federal government establishment. We're working, and the Polytechnic has taken up. We believe that in the next seminar, we're going to look at the Maritime Academy. We will see the status of the Maritime Academy or that school is overdue.
That these places, these prayers and support, we're asking for our leader and president will be given to you graciously. And with that blessing, with your support and prayers, I am sure we will even have a greater success than we had in 2011.
President Jonathan was later given a traditional title of Ibere Akwa Ibom in appreciation of his contributions and support for the state, as he was also decorated and presented with Sword of Honor. Correspondent Shegun Laoli reports that the Royal Fathers also prayed for President Jonathan for success. Now, 2 weeks to the presidential election, Governor Idris Wada has taken a rally for President Jonathan re-election to the heartland of the Igalas, Kogi State Senatorial District. And on how to ensure that is accomplished, he urged voters to go for their voters card, as correspondent Solomon Ayedehe reports.
East Senatorial Rally provided a platform for the PDP leadership in the state to rally stakeholders towards mobilizing support for President Goodluck Jonathan and other PDP flag bearers in next month's general election. Governor Diswada says President Goodluck Jonathan deserves to be re-elected for total transformation of the country.
For us here in Kogi State, he has reactivated a Ajokuta Steel Company. He brought power to Kogi State. We have Geregu 1 and Geregu 2.
For we in Kogi, Ajakuta is very important, which is completed. President Jonathan has done a lot for this country.
Has an impartational value on the citizenry, able to transform the economy of this country.
And he needs to continue.
They encouraged registered eligible voters in the state to obtain their permanent voter cards to enable them discharge their civic responsibilities. In Ayengba, Kogi State, Solomon Ayedehe, NTA News.
A group of transport operators under the umbrella of Abuja Painted Taxi and Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria have pledged their total support for President Jonathan's re-election. The group canvassed for votes for the president in some satellite towns of the Federal Capital Territory. Ignatius Sunko reports.
As the PDP presidential campaign continues at state capitals, other support groups under the party have moved to the satellite towns of the Federal Capital Territory. The Kubwa Expressway had a feel of the political climate as a group of transport operators moved to Dutse, Kubwa and Jabi to canvass for votes for President Jonathan. The group noted that in spite of the security situation in the country, President Jonathan was able to touch all sectors of Nigeria's economy.
What he has done, the railway is there, especially on the transportation system where I belong. The railways are there, the roads, all the express he has constructed in Nigeria. He has touched the transport industry by giving us vehicles for Shopee. President Goodluck Jonathan have shown courage, character, and capacity.
Mr. President, we are supporting you 2015. We are going to use our good luck form to vote for you, and that is the message from the transport companies here today.
The group called on Nigerians to ensure that the rehabilitation of railways and other transport projects is not disrupted by voting President Goodluck Jonathan. In Abuja, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Delta State, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, says he is grateful to Deltans for believing in him to lead in the campaign for victory of President Goodluck Jonathan in the presidential polls. He was speaking at Isiokolo in Ethiopia local council area for a campaign rally. Tessie Coker reports.
The gubernatorial candidate who expressed appreciation for the people for the last tenant to receive the campaign fee said it goes a long way to show that the party has remained consistent.
As a party, as a candidate, we believe in the prosperity of non-Deltans.
right now we've reconciled everybody and they are back, the PDP. There's no comparison between Okowa and others at all. The PDP will go home right in this local government and every local government in the Delta Central. The huge reconciliation going across all the local governments is an indication of peace and development in Delta State.
The rally witnessed the defection of over 1,200 members of the All Progressive Congress APC and Labour Party LP to the People's Democratic Party PDP. Coca, NTA News.
Oh, apologize for poor sound quality in some portions of that report. Nasarawa State Governor Umaru Tanko Almakora has reaffirmed his government's commitment to promoting peace with its close neighbor to the Federal Capital Territory as Nigeria's center of unity. He reaffirmed the commitment of the campaign rally in Karu local government area of the state that desires so much dividends of democracy for development. Correspondent Suraji Abdullahi has more on that.
Governor Umaru Tanko Almakura states that his administration was committed to improving the living condition of the people of the state and reaffirms commitment to consolidate if re-elected.
Remarkable achievements in the areas of urban renewal program, ground construction, education, healthcare delivery, and rural development. We promise to do even much more in the coming years in order to consolidate.
The governor also paid a visit to some chiefdoms in Toto local government area where he elevated the status of Gadabuke and Nakusa chiefdoms to first class and third class statuses respectively. Senator and House of Representatives member of the zone are impressive with the turnout.
And we're happy with the turnout, most encouraging. Leaders of democracy to the people. The government has done that. Everybody in Nasarawa State is a...
In Kefi, Suraj Abdullahi, NTA News.
The Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Mina has nullified the election of Dr. Shem Zabai Nuhu of the People's Democratic Party PDP and announced David Umar of the All Progressives Congress APC winner of the Northeast Senatorial by-election conducted in September last year. Mukhtar Abubakar Wowo reports.
After about 4 months of legal battle, which David Umaru, who contested on the platform of All Progressives Congress, challenging the victory of Dr. Shem Zagbai Nuhu, who contested on the platform of People's Democratic Party, has come to an end. While resolving the case in favor of the first petitioner, the presiding judge, Justice Ibrahim Mekaitabako, having cross-examined the results of some polling units across the senatorial district, cancelled some votes, which he said either exceeded the number of registered voters or accredited voters in some polling units. This, he said, contradicted the provision of 1999 Electoral Act.
About 23,531 votes were deducted from the scores of the PDP, and while about 7,626 were deducted from the scores of our candidate, leaving a total of 79,779 votes for our candidate.
We respect very seriously judgment delivered by courts in this country.
The Niger East senatorial by-election was conducted to fill the vacant seat of late Senator Dahiru Awesokuta, who died in June last year. From Mina, Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
After studying the verdict of the election tribunal in favor of All Progressive Congress APC candidate David Umaru in the 2014 Niger East senatorial by-election, the People's Democratic Party in Niger State has vowed to appeal the judgment. The party therefore called on all PDP members to remain calm and committed to winning the forthcoming general election. A statement signed by the Niger State PDP at the next polls. His statement called on the PDP members and supporters, especially registered voters, to ensure that they have voter counts before the next general election. It urged them to use their votes wisely. Colonel Sani Usman has taken over as the Acting Director, Army Public Relations from Brigadier General Olajide. Colonel Usman says he is aware of the demands of his office, considering the raging Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast, and enjoined officers and soldiers to the Directorate to redouble efforts at achieving set goals. The outgone director, Brigadier General Laleye, thanked officers and staff of the directorate as well as the media for working with him in achieving the tremendous success recorded by the directorate and asked them to accord his successor the same cooperation. Brigadier General Laleye has since assumed duties as the commander for Brigade of the Nigerian Army in Benin, Edo State. The chairman of the Presidential Amnesty Program and special advisor to the President on Niger Delta, Kingsley Kuku, has suggested a community-based response to the insurgency challenge in the northeastern part of Nigeria. The presidential aide believes that Nigerians can collectively leverage on the successes of the Niger Delta Amnesty Program to create a solution to the Boko Haram insurgency. Nnamdi Odibo tells us more.
His position in government not only gives him cover to address an issue on security, but also availed those listening to the president's special advice on Niger Delta, Kingsley Kuku, an opportunity to gain some insight into how government successfully quelled militancy in the Niger Delta. He struggled to dwell more on policy initiatives, less on politics, as he hammered on key components imperative for turning the tide of insurgency that has impacted negatively on the country, especially in the northeast.
The northeastern leaders, political leaders, former generals, former heirs of state of this country from the north, they must sit down the way we sat. They must fight among themselves. They must come out from the short door with stern faces that it is time to stop Boko Haram.
He did admit at some points that the Boko Haram insurgency is a much worse scenario compared to the Niger Delta armed struggle, but maintains that the national ownership of the problem would spur the military to victory in any offensive against the group.
Give them information, contribute to intelligence, work with the Director of State Security, pass the right information, and we get it done.
There have been divergent views in the public domain on how best to tackle the nation's security challenge, but Kingsley Kuku's take on the issue seemed clearly profound. In Abuja, Nnamdi Odibo, NTA News.
And thank you for staying with us up to this moment. As we move into the business of the day, for decades now, Nigeria has operated a monolithic economy heavily dependent on oil. This resulted in the neglect of other sectors of the economy. However, drop in the oil price has necessitated the urgent need to refocus attention to those neglected sectors. Blessed as Nigeria is with abundant mineral deposits, human capital, and other resource base. Stay with us after this break for a look at how the country's economy could be diversified towards cushioning the effect of the falling oil price. This is Weekend File. We'll be back shortly.
Those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Julius Caesar ended the Roman Republic, and this rendered him a tyrant for the rest of history. General Buhari ended Nigeria's democracy. He promised change. Decree 4 and Decree 20 were two of the most abusive human rights and civil rights violation decrees in the history of Nigeria. He imprisoned alleged corrupt politicians and executed Bernard Ogedegbe with a backdated Decree 20 in defiance to pleas and mass protest by Nigerian Christians, Muslims, and the international community. When his government was overthrown, Nigerians everywhere rejoiced and were relieved. As the adage goes, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. Vote Goodluck Ebele Jonathan for the continuity of our democracy. A message from truth never dies.
We love tasty food and drinks, but we know they can stain our teeth. And we don't want people to think our teeth are not healthy. That's why new Oral-B Pro Health with Whitening is specially designed to remove everyday stains and still give you that Oral-B oral protection, leaving you with strong teeth everyone can see.
Smile, smile, smile.
New Oral-B Pro Health with Whitening. Healthier, stronger teeth in 1 week. Now with more whitening power.
Nigeria, a nation on the move. Together, we need strength, focus, discipline,
And most importantly, a team player. We refuse to be caught up in old ways. We are moving forward. Good luck, Abele Jonathan. Keep moving forward.
All over Nigeria, Ariel claims to give us the best stain removal in one wash. So we'll collect tough stains, red sand, fruit juice, chocolate ice cream, to see which gives the best stain removal in one wash. We'll wash one half with Ariel and the other with the other premium detergent. Did the other premium detergent remove these stains? And Ariel? Yes! Ariel, best stain removal in Nigeria in one wash.
The Dettol and Ministry of Health team is visiting schools to teach children how to protect themselves from diseases.
Do you know what germs are? They are tiny, harmful, living things that you pick up from dirty surfaces. These germs can make you ill and prevent you from doing all the things you like to do with friends. That's why you need to fight them by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap.
Mom, today we learned how to fight germs with Dettol soap.
After years of slumber, Nigeria is on the move again. Our Greek sector is flourishing again. Transport systems are being upgraded. And young people are reaching heights they could previously only dream about. Now that we have reclaimed our place as Africa's largest economy, surely we are headed in the right direction. For this man under whose leadership these milestones have been achieved, it is only the beginning. The beginning of bigger, life-changing things to come. Vote to finish what we've started, Nigeria. Vote Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in 2015 and live to see the Nigeria we always dreamed about.
Want your bathroom to dazzle? Give your toilet the hypo treatment to brighten and also kill germs so your bathroom stays disinfected and squeaky clean.
Since Jonathan, food don't pay since Goodluck, you both don't bring plenty money going to work for Nigeria.
Under Goodluck, over 2 million Nigerians don't get jobs.
Since Goodluck, markets they move well.
Since Goodluck, Nigeria they waka they go from.
Make we move forward, Nigeria. Make we move forward, Nigeria.
I bet you can touch your nose with your thumb.
A nose?
It's the same with your toilet. There are many places in your toilet that detergents cannot clean. That is why the new Harpic 5 times complete gives you 5 times better cleaning than detergent from the rim all the way to the U-bend, making your toilet completely clean. With Harpic 5 times complete, you will definitely reach all the hard-to-clean places in your toilet.
Harpic Power Plus. Buy now for only 350 Naira.
The declining oil prices and production challenges in the Nigerian economy have necessitated fiscal and monetary policies. Leah Kaltung Babatunde has a background report.
The sharp fall in global oil prices in the past 7 months, which has led to significant revenue shortfall in Nigeria, has no doubt continued to unsettle policymakers in the country and other oil exporting nations. Dwindling oil prices will test the resilience of the Nigerian economy as well as the managerial acumen of its policymakers. Experts say this period is not cheerful times for monetary and fiscal policy authorities in Nigeria as they continue to seek the best response to the present economic challenges. The federal government recently announced a number of measures to shield the economy from external shocks. The major move is diversifying the economy to improve performance and output.
We have the tools. We know how to apply them. And we know that working together we'll be able to take this country through this year. And then to a brighter 2060.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has continued to pursue policies that seek to prevent exchange rate hiccups, control inflation, as well as to preserve the external reserves. Already, Minister of Trade and Investment Olusegun Ganga has unveiled federal government's plans to replace petroleum products with 13 national strategic export products. The move is part of government's efforts for rapid growth of the non-oil sector for exports. The 13 national strategic export products are classified in 3 categories, including agro-industrial, mining and petrochemical industries. Although the current structure of Nigeria's gross domestic production (GDP) shows that the country has achieved significant diversification in terms of local production and consumption, experts emphasize the need for Nigeria to be competitive. They say while billions of dollars are required to bridge the infrastructure funding gap, the need to take proactive steps towards overhauling the infrastructure sector remains on the front burner. To this end, government has rolled out the National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan, a 30-year plan to bridge the infrastructure gap and create job opportunities. Government's focus on entrepreneurship will support the country's growth, including the agricultural revolution.
So the real money that makes a difference and creates the job in a sustainable way and in a very inclusive way is the money that comes from the private sector, because they got it with their life and they invest it much more wisely and in bankable projects and more accountable projects.
The 2015 budget, yet to gain the final nod from the National Assembly, is designed to tighten loopholes and leakages, increase internally generated revenue drive to include taxation on luxury goods, as well as reduce focus on oil as the major source of revenue. Experts also suggest a reduction in the cost of governance, increased capital expenditure, and stringent financial management in the short run to mitigate the effect of the free-fall in oil prices. In Abuja, Leah Katung-Babatunde, NTA News.
You are watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. We'll now pause for more messages. We'll be back shortly.
From the north to the south, from the east to the west, there's a sound all around, a mighty voice to be heard. Everybody's crying out. Can you hear the mighty shout? It's a call from the fatherland for the man who is right. Good luck, Shundaka.
Every time you get on the pitch, nothing feels better than giving 100%. When you hear the sound of thousands of our fans roaring, you just have to. And for us, nothing's better than Chivita 100%. With 100% goodness and 100% satisfaction. Go all the way with 100% or nothing. Chivita 100%. 100% or nothing.
The Dettol and Ministry of Health team is visiting schools to teach children how to protect themselves from diseases.
Do you know what germs are? They are tiny, harmful, living things that you pick up from dirty surfaces. These germs can make you ill and prevent you from doing all the things you like to do with friends. That's why you need to fight them by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap.
Mom, today we learned how to fight germs with Dettol soap.
When I thirsty. It tastes good. It tastes good. Hold on, your good break time. When I'm hungry, when I'm thirsty. Hold
Hollandia yogurt, available in strawberry, plain, and pineapple coconut.
Taste the nectar of paradise. Two exotic nectar in pineapple, coconut, multi-fruiter, and other exotic flavors. The taste will take you there. Two exotic nectar, escape to paradise.
From the House of Chi.
You're welcome back. Joining me now is Dr. Obadiah Melafia, an economist and former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. He's here to share his thoughts on issues raised in this program. You're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you so very much, Kieran. Hello, viewers. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Yes, a lot has actually been said about the issue of diversification of the nation's economy over the years. We've had this a number of times within a period of last 10 years. But it does seem that nothing concrete may have taken place to actually move us away from oil to other sectors. Now, where should Nigeria start from? Or what should be the focus at this moment, now that we're beginning to experience what we may describe as the oil drought?
Well, thank you. I think these are very important questions, especially at this time, that the price of oil has collapsed in the global market, and at a time when even the United States has blockaded Nigeria. People don't know this. They will no longer sell oil to America. We used to export at least 20 to 25% of our oil to the United States. They just took a unilateral decision that all the countries, Nigeria is no longer allowed to export oil to America. So that has been a double jeopardy for us, the collapse of oil prices and America blocking us from selling oil in their country. And I'm surprised nobody has raised these issues with the United States of America. So we are in a, I would say, a challenging position right now. And that necessitates, the imperative of, doubling up on the diversification of the economy. But let me also say this, Kirin, that in fact, already the economy is gradually diversifying. From the rebasing that was done from last year in April, it was discovered that, in fact, agriculture has moved from an average of 10% over the last 10 years to about 16%. Services have grown from, let's say, about 12% to nearly 20%. And in the past, oil used to account for 70, 80% of our revenue, in fact, up to 90% of our domestic revenues, and over 95% of our foreign earnings. Today, oil accounts for only 50% of our government revenue, the internal domestic revenue. So this is actually a very significant development, which is to say that even with the reduction in global oil prices, it should not affect us so terribly in terms of local domestic revenue. Of course, it will have a huge impact on foreign savings. So where should we start from?
That's the question.
We have to start from number one, enhanced reform of the macroeconomic environment to make the economy more competitive and to enhance and mobilize inward investments, both domestic and inward investments into other critical sectors of the economy, from solid minerals and mining to tourism, to services to renewable energy systems. All of these are very vital. But you can't have a competitive economy unless you have reformed the structure of the economy such that it is business friendly. There are still several structural bottlenecks in this economy that are crying desperately for reform.
For instance, could you just give us an example of such structures, the areas where where the government needs to either restructure or
one of them that nobody has ever talked about is the need to set up an anti-monopolies commission, a regulatory commission. Once you have privatized companies, once you have opened up the economy, you have to have an organization that calls the shots with reference to people playing the game in a fair way. Yes. It's like you have a football club, you have a football team, yes, and there's a match going on, but there's no referee. This is really what it is.
All right.
That is to say, people can corner parts of the economy, set up cartels, and there's nobody to check that.
Yes, that monopoly.
Yes.
Okay. All right. There are views in the oil sector itself that it could also be diversified, because I think we concentrate more only on the refining petrol. What about other products, that also come from there?
Downstream products, petrochemicals, and so on. Our petrochemical sector is still at a very rudimentary stage, unfortunately. Of course, if the refineries are not operational, hardly operational, petrochemicals are even worse so. There are lots of products and byproducts of the oil and gas sector that can be developed. So we need to work on those areas in order to...
Has dropped, for some time now. In your opinion, are we doing well in that respect?
I wish I could answer in the affirmative, but it is clear that a lot of work still needs to be done. You will be surprised to know that Nigeria's manufacturing in 1980 was in a far more advanced stage than it is in 2015. By far. By the time Gowon was leaving power, Nigeria was almost at the verge of industrial technological takeoff. Unfortunately, things deteriorated.
Yes.
The economic environment worsened, and as the global financial crunch came, a lot of banks moved.
And of course, the neglect
not
of
banks, a lot of manufacturers moved to neighboring countries.
Exactly.
Because there was electricity there. There was, a sound environment and institutional support environment. There were stable currencies, and all. They moved there, And sadly, the trend is still of companies moving. Look at Kano, Kaduna. The textiles have disappeared. In Kano, because of the geopolitical crisis that we have, a lot of companies have closed up. So manufacturing is at a very low level.
Low level at this point.
And because of the costs also. I mean, if you are fueling your factory through diesel, for heaven's sake, how can you compete?
You cannot run that for too long a time.
You cannot.
Now, the President Jonathan, in his New Year message, said that the non-oil sector has grown with about 8%, in recent years, and that the budget towards deepening the diversification of the economy of the non-oil sector has played a key role in that. And what do you foresee as a kind of challenge, towards achieving that?
Well, like I said, there are all those structural bottlenecks that you have to remove from the economy. You need to improve electricity, okay? You need a sound institutional environment. You need a vibrant, competitive environment for people to be able to set up factories, to operate easily. Even things like security, If you set up a factory and you're scared that criminals will come and vandalize it, you wouldn't have the incentive to do it. So all those things need to be improved. But also people tend to forget that you need the skills. A lot of...
So to go further, but that's not on our side at the moment, and I want to thank you for sharing all those thoughts with us. You've been very contributive to this very edition of the program, and we appreciate your time. Thank you, sir. I have been talking with Dr. Obadiah Melafia, an economist and the former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. You are still watching Weekend File on the NTA network service. We'll pause again for more messages.
He's a man with ability, very good accountability, leader with integrity, making life better for you and me, hey. Good luck, Jonathan, now the man, yeah. Oh, yeah, join us, make you see how the power to the Good luck, Ebele Jonathan.
Does your husband shed need some whitening? Just use a little jig in some water. With jig, pot puree and lemon, your cleaning troubles are over. Is there a dirty floor stain that's frightening? Or a muddy mess left by your daughter? Is your stove no longer so shiny? Or your bra as dirty as ever? Just jiggies! Pot puree and lemon. Just jiggies! It makes cleaning a joy. Just jiggies! Hey, you better go get Just jiggies! Now available in lemon and pot puree fragrances, the newest and freshest way to jig it.
For the first time ever in Nigeria, we have your names on Coca-Cola bottles and cans.
Dayo.
Amina.
Ada. Share Coca-Cola with
Johnny.
Edward.
Joseph Shukuma.
Share Coca-Cola with
Tanya. Yusuf. Obi.
Taiwo. Share Coca-Cola with
Baba.
Besties. Jennifer.
Chiquito.
Shade. Share Coca-Cola with
Efe. Oga.
Maggie. Sweetie.
Malam.
Share Coca-Cola with
Bros. Tassi.
Bobsy.
Uluwachuku Torishen. Ogene Bobby. Find your name on Coca-Cola bottles and cans at your nearest outlets and share with friends and family.
Know that you are exposed.
The management of the Nigerian Television Authority is set to reawaken the culture of regular keep fit exercise and an ingredient of getting the best performance from its staff. This hint was dropped by the NTA Director General Shola Omole while members of the staff took time off official matters to observe a health walk in Abuja Saturday. Correspondent Ayodeji Makinde completes the report.
At the Nigerian Television Authority headquarters, Abuja, the weekend was not about meeting news deadlines, but burning some calories and ensuring fitness through exercises, which the management described as a requirement for optimum performance on the job. Tagged the NTA Health Walk, the mid-distance walk took participants through the streets of Gariki areas 8 and 11, with the Director General of the NTA, Shola Omole, and the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Commission, Boboye Oyeyemi, setting the pace. The management and staff of the NTA looked walked, jogged and trudged to loosen joints stiffened by hours spent in the studios and newsrooms. Participants reconvened at the arena where the NTA boss promised to encourage staff to imbibe the culture of keeping fit despite the demands of the job.
What we're doing here is creative, so anything to help the creative juices to be flowing, that's what we're going to do. So I'm very happy that our people responded very well today.
The Corps will collaborate and support NTA. We commend this, and that means the management has also seen the need to keep their workforce to be fit.
There were board games, badminton and an exhibition table tennis match between the NTA DG and the FRSC boss to spice up the fitness regime, which was rounded off with an aerobic session. In Abuja, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
We now bring you sports update.
First Boxing Hall of Fame for 2015 took place at Roe Park Saturday evening in Lagos. The event, which was the 60th in a series, featured 9 bouts, which included 2 female fights and 1 exhibition bout. In the biggest fight of the night, which was in the 75 kg class, Femi Akintayo defeated Omikunle Sarafodin by technical knockout.
Femi Akintayo.
And in tennis, the final of the 2015 Australia Open, the first Grand Slam of the year, featured the number 1 and number 2 seeded players for the first time in over a decade. And
as well as the Nigerian communities resident in the region gathered in Brussels, the Belgian capital, to pay their respect following the death of the Nigerian ambassador Felix Adobo Wando, who passed on the 11th of this month. Correspondent Hawa Yusuf Fontua has the details.
The late Ambassador Felix Awambo was born on September 1956 in Benin, Edo State. He started his diplomatic career with the Foreign Affairs Ministry in 1983 and toured the Nigerian missions in Iran, Russia, USA, and France before his posting as the Nigerian ambassador to the kingdoms of Belgium, Luxembourg, and the European Union. Ambassador Felix Awambo died in a Brussels hospital on the 11th of this month, and a memorial service was organized in his honor.
With due respect for his memory, we recommend his immortal soul to the almightiness and the mercifulness of God.
Ambassador Felix was the embodiment of all the great principles and values that we hold and treasure so dearly in the ACP Group of States.
Another memorial service was also hosted in his honor by the Nigerian community in Antwerp.
He said, always be yourself. Always be honest.
While thanking the diplomats and Nigerian communities for their love and support, the Deputy Ambassador Ibrahim Rabiu also extolled the virtues of Ambassador Awambo as one of Nigeria's admired diplomats. Hawa Yusuf.
And that's our package for today. Thanks for watching. And from all of us here, it is good night.